Here it will be a part 2 of this series. Here it is common .NET Core interview question, which is asked by many fresher also and experienced person also. So let's discuss that. First, what is the difference between the .NET and .NET framework? If you know, you can just give me like 4 5 points over there. What is the difference between them? Otherwise, what I to discuss here? The difference between the .NET and .NET framework is most common question, and .NET is an open source cross-platform framework with core library in NuGet packages for building modern cloud-based and microservices-based application. It supports development on Linux, Mac OS, and Windows, and provide a modular, lightweight runtime deploy as a self-contained executable or shared library. But coming to the .NET framework, on the other hand, it is a Windows-only framework for developing classes and libraries and running code on web services and traditional desktop application, and it provides a larger set of library and features than .NET Core, but it is limited to Windows and not on the open source. If you only dedicated developer using the Windows only, that you can go with the .NET framework. But if you want to cross-platform, then .NET is a open .NET Core will be a better one. So this is the basic difference you can make. And also in the same scenario, they are also asking sometime what is the difference between the .NET and .NET standard. So don't get confused between them. .NET standard is a different and .NET framework is a different and .NET is different. So they are asking the question on that also. If you get the answer similar for the .NET standard and .NET also, so that will be a difficult. That will be a not going to right way. So please make a difference over there. Difference between all of these three. Then next question. How does ASP.NET Core handle the dependency injections? You know, in the .NET Core, this dependency on injection is a new concept. So if you are a really developer, you are a part of the development team, so you know what the dependency injection over there. So they're asking how it is working, how we handles, how we're creating. So give the answer on that. Dependency injection is a design pattern. First of all, it is a ASP.NET Core handled by the inbuilt dependency container. Like in the .NET Core, we also have some inbuilt ones, so we can use. Otherwise, you can create the custom classes as a interfaces and develop, and you can use as a dependency injection. So this container can register and resolve dependency typically defined as a interfaces implemented by the configure classes. So for handling or configuring the dependency injection, including the like configure services method in startup class, attribute on a classes and properties, and the service provider itself in the ASP.NET Core support to constructor, property, and method injection, allowing dependency to be dynamically injected into the method at a runtime. And basically, it is focusing on the singleton, transit, and scope service lifetime. If you want to know more about this, you just comment it down. I will try to make a large video on this. Next question is, what is a Kestrel and how does it differ from the IIS? Because you are already working on a .NET Core, so you have idea about the Kestrel. So that's why before this .NET Core, that was handled in the IIS, but in the Kestrel, it is a little bit different. It is providing the reverse proxy of scenario. Um, it will be like giving more flexibility in the Kestrel one. It is a like because of this I can say the this is known as a cross-platform lightweight web server used by the default in ASP.NET Core application. It can run on Linux, Mac OS, Windows, and provide a fast, scalable, and efficient platform for handling the HTTP requests. So Kestrel is basically designed to use with a reverse proxy server such as like IIS or Nginx, which is handle the load balancing and SSL termination tasks. On the other hand, IS is a web server specific to Windows that provide more advanced features than Kestrel, but such as support of HTTP2 and WebSocket protocols and integration with the Windows authentication and SSL. Next question, what is the purpose of the middleware in the ASP.NET Core? First, you have to be understand what is the middleware. So middleware is in ASP.NET Core is a software component responsible for processing requests and generating the response in the web application pipeline. It sits between the like server side and applications and designed to handle the cross-cutting concerns such as like authentication, caching, logging, routing. Like if you are creating the API, you have to authentication the API. So for that you are creating the auth controller with the help of JWT token creation, checking user validity or not. So this will be acting as a middleware when we are developing. So this is making easy to customize the web application behavior without modifying the core application logics. And in addition, in the middleware, like perform the various tasks such as like modifying request or response header, handling errors, exceptions, execution async code. These are advantages, or this is the way which operation we can perform with the help of middleware. And it also processing the, I can say, custom processing of request response such as like generating dynamic content or formatting data. So overall, like middleware play a critical role in architecture of ASP.NET Core application, allowing developer to write modular, flexible, and extensible web application that can be easily customized and scale. Next is what we have a question: how does ASP.NET Core handle the garbage collection? And this is the normal. So yes, the question is about the garbage collection. How does ASP.NET Core handle the garbage collection? So this will be asked in fresher level also. And it is like if you are creating any variable, for the example string abc, you are declare, and but in your whole program you are not used anywhere. So this is like holding a memory unnecessary. So because of this, it will be getting us some performance issue. So it will be get automatically destroy or close by the garbage collection. So this is the reason this garbage collection come in the scenario to solving this type of problems. So in the definition or in the working functionality, what we can say, garbage collection in ASP.NET automatically manage all the allocation and deallocation of memory that in ASP.NET Core application uses. The garbage collector responsible for the identifying and reclaiming memory are no longer needed by the application, thus freeing up the resources and improving the application performance. So they have a generation also, like generation 0, 1, 2. If 0 is not able to solve, then it goes to 1. If 1 is not able to, then it goes to the 2. So each generation represents a different stages of the object life cycle, and new objects are allocated to the younger generation. And as they are survive longer, they are moved to the older generation, like that. And this garbage collector collect and free memory from the younger generation first, and only collect the older generation when necessary. So you can get the answer on this. And for this, we have a method also, gc.collect, gc.get total memory method, like that. Basically, it is used to improving the performance and stability of the .NET or .NET Core applications. Next question we have a, what is the difference between the sync and async programming in ASP.NET Core? So in the sync programming, .NET Core blocks the execution of the source code until a task is completed. That is known as a sync call. So in contrast, async is like allows the execution of code to continue while a task is being processed in the background. It's like multiple request is coming. It is not having to block. But in a synchronous, we having a like until one is completed, then second will become like one by one. So async programming is useful for the long running operation that would be otherwise block the application main thread. So such as reading from a file or making a network request. This will be a real time example of the async programming. And that we are achieving with the help of async and await keywords in C sharp. And the async keyword define the async method, which can be called by the other code and run in the background. So this await keyword indicate that the calling code should be wait for the async method to complete the before is continuing. So this is the answer which we can give. And it is a very important question which is I'm sharing already here, and what I face. So that's why I'm going to share, because some of them you are also getting the benefit from this video, from this questions. Next question is having, how does .NET support from the cross-platform development? .NET Core designed from the group to support the cross-platform development. That's why it is a new feature and used by the widely in application development. It is additionally like having a more features compared to traditional one, like it including the CLI, like command line interfaces that can be used to build, test, deploy application on multiple platform. And the CLI Provide a set of tools for managing dependency. You can add the dependency from the CLI also, like you are doing the same thing in the NuGet package manager. Similarly, you can also add with the help of command prompt also. ASP.NET Core also include a set of standard library like called BCL, which provide a consistent set of API for working with common tasks such as input, output, networking, and security. And next question, uh, how can you implement the background work in the ASP.NET Core applications? Background work in ASP.NET Core application define a background task or services like we can achieve with the help of I-hosted services interface in the ASP.NET Core. It is typically used for monitoring, logging, and data processing tasks that must run continuously, even when the application is not processing requests. So that will be a working of this one. And classes that implement the I-hosted services interface are added to the application services collection using the dependency injections, and they are started and stopped automatically by the application host. And the I-hosted services interface define two methods: start async and stop async. The start async method is called when the application starts and used to start the background task or services, and the stop async method is called when the application stop or restarted. So it is used to stop the background task or services releasing the acquired resources. Okay, then next question they ask about the concurrency and parallelism. Like, how does ASP.NET Core handle the concurrency and parallelism? So it provides mechanism of like handling the concurrency parallelism. It is happening with the specific requirement. If there's a requirement for the concurrency, we are developing. If the requirement parallelism, we are developing according to that. So both have a different use cases. First of all, like if we have async programming, so you can support async programming by using the async and await keyword. Async programming allow multiple tasks to be executed concurrently without blocking the main thread, improving the application responsiveness. But in the parallel programming, it supports the parallel programming using the parallel class and the task parallel library. Parallel programming allows multiple tasks to execute it concurrently across the multiple process, improving the application performance also. Then also we have like locking and synchronization option. So in this provides several mechanism for like locking and synchronization, including the lock keyword, interlock classes, and monitor the class. So this mechanism allow multiple thread to be accessed, share resource safely, and prevent the race condition. And for the concurrency control, it is what I can say control through the like transactional memory and the optimistic concurrency control pattern. Concurrency control like ensure that the multiple thread can access and modify share resource without interfering with each other. So that's why this concurrency control support in the .NET Core. So using all this mechanism, developer can build .NET Core application that are more responsive, scalable, efficient, and handling the multiple requests and tasks concurrently with improving the performance also and in the parallelly. So it will be reducing most of the problem like race condition, deadlock, and thread starvation. Then next question about like how do you implement the caching in ASP.NET Core? Because what you are developing, you have to be security, you have to be performance, you have to be good response time over there. So because of this, your application becoming good. And this type of question is most of the time asking in the experience level, 2 year experience, 2+ year of experience, then you are expecting this type of questions. So response catching in ASP.NET Core is technique used to improve the performance and scalability of web application by catching the ASP.NET Core MVC response and returned by the server for a specific period. So catching like response can help reduce the number of requests made to the server. It is depend on the like this response request we have to be read type, static type, or write type, or dynamic type like that. So response catching work by adding a caching layer between the client and the server. When client requests a resource, then caching layer check whether the response for the request has been cached. If the response is cached, the caching layer return the cached response to the client. If not, then request is forwarded to the server and server generate the response and caches it for the future use. So this is the way this caching will be helping in the .NET Core application. It like we have a client browser, we have a server browser, web browser, and in between we have a proxy server. So already we have a data in the proxy server. If the request come in again same level, see it doesn't go to the server and hit and get the response. Better than that, it will allow sending the response from the server, the proxy server which is stand between them, client and server between them, the one of the proxy server, and returning the response. If yeah, somehow some solution or some response is not available to proxy server, then it directly goes to the web server and returning the response. And again in the future, if the same question is or same problem request is coming, then it will be going to the help over there. So this is the way this will be working. Then what is the difference between the middleware and the next question is what is core CLR? The core CLR is common language runtime. Now command is like dot runtime. So the runtime environment execution in ASP.NET Core application, and it is the open source implementation of the .NET runtime developed by the Microsoft and available on the multiple platforms including the Windows, Linux, and macOS. And Core CLI provide a managed execution environment for the ASP.NET Core application, including memory management, garbage collection, type safety, and security. It also supports just-in-time application which compile code at runtime to native machine code, allowing for faster execution. Core CLR is also designed to model with the various components such as like garbage collection, JIT compiler, primitive data type system implementation as a separate modules. This modality all allow for the more flexibility and customization in building and deploying the .NET Core application. So it is like critical component of the .NET platform, providing the necessity runtime infra for developing and executing the .NET application across the different platforms. Next question we have like, have you worked with the Docker